Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cultivator Inventory Tracking Training. So glad that you could all join us. This training should be useful to new folks to inventory tracking and old hands who have done this before. This will have updates to the forms and any of the new approaches that we have to these forms. So valuable for all. I should also mention at the end of this video that there is a short quiz to get credit for the cultivator training. So please note that. So a few thoughts before we dive in. You conceptually, you should just be aware that these forms just capture the weight of the inventory. You just need to put weight on these inventory tracking forms. You do not do a running tally. So once all the weight is recorded on the form, then you are done interacting with that harvest lot's inventory tracking form. The system itself will keep track of everything, and weight is removed from your inventory using the transfer form. So you put weight in. Once it's all in, you can stop interacting with that form and you're done with the inventory. You take weight out just by transferring it using the transfer form. The other concept just to keep in mind is these forms are free to you. They are required of you, but they're pretty basic. So once you've done them a few times, they will seem pretty straightforward. And just don't overthink the forms. They're asking questions. Just the simplest answer is usually the right answer. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start now with creating a new harvest lot. So hopefully the screen that you see here is familiar to you. You get to it through your portal. And right here, we are on the Create New Inventory Tracking Reporting tab. So we're going to go to this tab. Here are all our inventory forms. And if you scroll down, you can see that all the forms, even forms that you never use, are here. They're all here. So the ones that cultivators will use primarily are the cultivator inventory tracking form, the transfer form, and this nice loss adjustment of product reporting form. So here we go. We're going to record a brand new harvest lot. So we're going to hit apply. And here is where you would put your license number. And it should, once you've done this, it should populate and you will just be able to click that and it'll be easy. Just check and make sure that your license information is correct here and hit next. So are we reporting on an existing harvest lot? This is a brand new harvest lot. So the answer to this question is no. Reporting reasons, this is a new harvest lot. So this reporting period is just the reporting period. It has nothing to do with the seasonality of the crop itself, just the reporting period. So if you hit this, this would be today's date. And it'll automatically note the end of this reporting period, which is 2 weeks. Save and next. So harvest lot number. This is the number that you are coming up with this harvest lot. If this is your very first harvest lot, 1 would be a nice, easy number. The system itself will attach your license number to this number. So you don't need to add in your license number or any other numbers, just the number that your operation uses for your harvest lot number. So in this case, we're going to do 11, just for fun. And then date of planting, this would be when you had planted this harvest. you could have planted it over weeks, but you want to get basically a representative date for planting this harvest. So I'm just going to pretend I planted it outside and we planted it maybe, let's say, the 5th of June. Again, indoors, you might have a nice, easy day to put in there. You know you planted it on this date. Outdoors, maybe you planted it over the course of weeks. Pick the best, most representative date for this field. When was the harvest completed? When you're initially putting this form together, you might not have a date. In fact, you might not have a date for a lot of these fields or information. Just move through where you're at and you can update later. So we're going to pretend that we have not harvested yet. The number of plants in our harvest lot, we're going to say is 125. Wet weight. So right here, I'm going to stop and just say, when are we putting this this form together? We are doing our first inventory tracking reporting on harvest lot 11, when all of our plants, in this case 125, are in their final position for flowering. That could be in ground, that could be in their final, up potted into their final pots and in the flower room. That's when you're filling out this form for that harvest lot. Don't do it until your plants are established and you have a pretty good idea of what the number of plants that you're doing that are going to be alive. You will have to adjust this if you have any losses. So you want to wait until your plants are good and settled in. So other information that we're gathering on this harvest lot page, wet weights. This is gathered at the harvest lot level. A wet weight, you old hands know this, and you have your systems with how to gather the wet weight. You are gathering the weight of freshly harvested plants that are going into the whatever dry room you have. So the wet weight is just the weight of the plants going into the dry room. You can strip, defoliate, whatever you want in the field and not gather that weight. We are just interested in the plants that are going into the dry room. That could be whole plants, that could be colas, just cutting colas and hanging those. It could be small sections of plants. So whatever's going into the dry room, you are weighing prior to hanging, and you are putting the whole weight of the harvest lot fresh in this field. If you have any questions about that, on the specifics on that, you should reach out to your compliance agent. Okay, so growing style, you're picking what your growing style is. Auto or photo, if there's not an option for both, so just pick one. Even if you're doing both, pick the one that you do the most of. Plant grown from, so pick your what your plants are grown from here. The source, so if you purchased from a distributor, you're going to put that, and then you're going to note who it is that you buy your plants or your seeds from. Produced on site, if you already have your own moms and you're producing your own clones and you've had them for a while, you can certainly put that. Number of plants in vegetative growth. So when you originally put this form together, you will have, assuming their photo period and everything is normal, all of them in vegetative growth. That's when you should, when you first do this form, it should be when they're in vegetative growth. And then once they change and they're all in flower, you can update this form. Date of flowering initiation. So for you outdoor growers, just put the approximate date. For the indoor growers, you're going to put the date that you flipped to a 12/12 or 11/12 or whatever your 11/13, whatever cycle that you are using. So that's one page down. We're going to attest and save a next. So part of your inventory tracking reporting is to capture all of the inputs that you are putting on your crops. So in this section, you're going to update any of the pesticides. And again, anything you are using for pest and disease management is a pesticide. So it's a neutral term. It's not, you know, just chemical or EPA registered materials. If you are using thyme oil, that's a pesticide. So you're going to want to put any of the materials that you're applying to your crop in this section, what that pest was treating. You should know exactly what that pesticide, what the target pest is, whether that is powdery mildew or aphids, and your dates. As part of being a cultivator, you need by law to have a pesticide application log. So you should have all the data you need off that log to fill out this form for any of the pesticides used. And EPA registration number, if it has an EPA registration number. Many of the materials you might have are 25B category, meaning that all the active ingredients are safe. And so they don't have an EPA, they're not registered with the EPA. But if your material has an EPA registration number, it will be right on the label. So put that here if it has it. So fertilizers used, anything you're using for a nutrient, you should put here what it's being used for. If it's a specific fertilizer for a specific use, you can put that, or just for general nutrition if it's a generalized fertilizer. Beneficial insect section. Why are we even gathering this beneficial insect information? Well, it's pest and disease management. And you should, if you use beneficial insects, which I'd encourage everyone to use, if needed, it is really important that you gather information. And I would put these beneficial insects that you're using on your pesticide application log so that you know when you applied them and what you applied them for. They're costly. You should be getting data so that you know whether they're working. So again, you should be gathering that data anyway. Put that here. Biostimulants, any of your enzymes, microbials that you're using, put them here, what they're being used for. Soil amendments, what it's being used for. Again, remember in the very beginning when I said, do not overthink this. Don't overthink it. Here is a table. There's a couple of these tables in this form where you can add materials here, and you do that just by pushing add, and it'll take you back to that previous screen. Whoops. We went all the way to the beginning. And let me just go through this. This is going to happen. So we'll just go through this and you'll all, here we go. We're at that table again. So adding is, you can always add whenever you update any pesticides, any of these things that are new to your applications on your harvest lot. Okay. Processing lots. This is one of the most important parts of this form. A process lot is a subdivision of the harvest lot. So you are going to gather weight in your harvest lot. And as you saw on the first page, it just had a place for wet weights. Here is where we add processing lots that capture the dry weight and fresh frozen weights of our usable cannabis weights from the harvest lot. So process lot information, we're going to identify the process lot of the crop. Process lots are defined by their path to market. So the simplest way to think about process lots are to have a process lot for flour, a process lot for trim or biomass, a process lot for fresh frozen, if that's a category that you have, and a process lot for waste, which would be all the dry stems after the usable cannabis has been removed. So a process lot, the harvest lot can only be identified by a number. The process lot can be identified by numbers and letters. So you can name this anything you want. So I am going to name it process lot number 1, flour. So that will actually appear in the record, and that will be less confusing to me. You can use strain names for these process lots, but because they are defined by their pathway to market, you want to basically be careful about how many process lots you have and that they make sense for you. But here's the basic categories: biomass, fresh frozen, our waste, trim, and the weight of flour are basically the big categories, the big pathway to market types of usable cannabis that you would divide your harvest lot into. So there is, again, some leeway for you to name them anything and define them the way that works for your operation. But the simplest way is to divide your harvest lot into these categories of process lots. Okay, we're at testing. We're saving it next. And so here is my one process lot. If I want to add another one, I just push add, and I can add as many process lots as I want. Here, I am actually developing the process lots before my crop in this scenario is even harvested. That's easy to do. If I am very consistent about my process lots, every one of my harvest lots, here's my harvest lot here, HL, my license number, -11, here's my process lot, 1 flower. So if every single time I develop process lots, they're very consistent harvest lot to harvest lot, it makes it less confusing. I know, that every process lot that's called 1 is flower. So harvest lot 11, harvest lot 13, 1 is always flower. However it works for your operation, but that's how it's going to look, and this process lot is what you need to move that category of usable cannabis into the marketplace. So how you develop your process lots is really important. Okay. We are almost done. You're putting your lab that you used for your COAs, and you are uploading your COAs when you get to that point that you've harvested the crop, you've processed the crop, you're sending samples to the lab, you're uploading them here, and as far as this form is, you're essentially done with the form. One last page at the end. This just is a shortcut page that leads you to these other forms if you need them. So that's nothing more than that. So if you don't need these forms, you are just putting no. And you can always access these forms in the very, just from the tab. You don't need to come all the way to the shortcut to access any of these forms. We're testing, and we're submitting. And so now we have our harvest lot, and it should say here, let's see. Here it is, our harvest lot 11. And if we look at the process lots under that harvest lot, here's our only process lot that we've put in now. It's, harvest lot 11, process lot 1 flower. And now I can see it from my existing inventory tracking tab, and I can, keep track of my harvest lot 11 in this section. So there we are. We can use the caret in this section to view our existing harvest lots if you need to. So I think if we just try that, we can go through and view everything that we had already put in there. So that's a handy thing. Okay, that's it for creating new inventory tracking, a new harvest lot in our inventory tracking system. And there's another video on updating your inventory tracking. Hello, welcome to updating your cultivator inventory tracking and reporting. We are going to go through a scenario where the inventory tracking has been established for a harvest lot and you are jumping on that harvest lot to update it. So to update your harvest lot, you will go to Create New. You will hit Apply. Your license should self-populate, and you will go to Next. So are you reporting on an existing harvest lot? That's what we're doing today. So you're hitting Yes. Reporting reasons. And now we're just going to put, let's say, changes in harvest lot. It doesn't really matter which of these reasons. Just pick the best reason that fits you. Don't overthink that. Start date, today's date, and the end of this reporting period is generated for us. And hit Next. So we're searching for the record of our last reporting. That's a really important part of this. You want to make sure you know exactly which the IT number of the harvest lot that you are reporting on, and they will, some of them will self-populate, but you need to know exactly which one. So check your existing inventory tracking first to get this number. So we've got our harvest lot. And here it is. It's bringing us to a harvest lot 10 that we already have in the system. We have wet weight in the harvest lot right now, but any of this information could be, could be adjusted through this process. So we are going to do a little addition to a processing lot. So we're going to move through this page, through this page, and we're going to go to our processing lot. We are going to go right ahead and add another processing lot. We're going to add a processing lot called To Waste. And we are going to add some waste we generated in this processing lot, and we are going to add that in grams, and let's just say 1,000 grams of waste. And so it brings us back to our table. We now have our 2 processing lots. And maybe we want to add a little bit to our original flour processing lot, so we can edit that. And we're going to add some flour. So we're going to add, let's add 500 grams of flour. Oops, a test. And there we go. We've added some weight to our harvest lot. And it takes us through the rest of the thing. We're not adding our COAs yet, and we are done. This takes us again to our shortcut page. We're not using any of these today. We're testing, and we are done with our updates. Submitting. And it takes us back to our harvest lot information here. This is harvest lot 10. We can check on our process lot. And now we have our original process lot which is one flower, it shows our newly added processing lot. And then if we wanted to, we could view this processing lot. And we can view that we just added in this 500. And then I can just jump right out of this back into existing. And there we go. That's how you update a harvest lot. One concept that I must underline is that the next time I go in to update this process lot and I have, 400 grams to report in that flour processing lot, I need to just report 400 and not the new total of 900. So every time you update, you are just incrementally updating the new weight or the new information. You are not providing a running total. The system will do that itself. So the only difference to that is in total plants. So if you had to adjust the amount of plants that you have in that, you would want to just, erase the field. If it was 125 and you lost 5 plants, you're just going to erase the field and put 120 and fill out the loss form for the 5 plants that you lost, which we will cover in another video. If you have any questions, reach out to your compliance agent. And that's it for updating a existing harvest lot.